Uncensored, no-holds-barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is the Global Reality Radio Network.
September 19th, 2011 marks 4 years of broadcasting for the Global Reality Show. In that time, we've exposed many important and invaluable pieces of information concerning the global power structure, hidden and occult text, ancient archaeology, secret societies, ETs, the priest class, and so much more. With no outside funding, sponsors, or advertisement, this places all the well-being of our work and research into the hands of people like you. In order to continue our work and to make it bigger and better, the Global Reality is having a 4-year anniversary fundraiser to take our quest of information critical mass to a new and before unseen level. Unfortunately, technology becomes aged and not much is left after paying operating costs each month. This is a very critical time to reach people, and with your financial support, we can redouble our efforts. Please visit www.theglobalreality.com today and make a safe and secure donation using our chip-in banner or PayPal donate button at the site. Why give your support to a phony political stooge when you can support real underground media by the people? I'm Josh Reeves, and this is the Global Reality Radio Network. Edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight for another live edition of the broadcast. Labor Day here, and heading out of Labor Day and out of Monday, September 5th into Tuesday, September the 6th, 2011. I'm glad you could join us here tonight, and we're going to be getting into a gigantic stack of news as we generally always do on Mondays here tonight, so definitely no exception there tonight for all the things we have to get into here on the broadcast tonight. So we're glad you could join us. Hope you had a nice holiday weekend if you have such a thing. I've seen news stories going around and commentators and stuff saying, is it still okay to have a holiday called Labor Day when nobody's got jobs anymore? So either way, it's generally a good excuse for people to get hammered and party and, kind of the ritual of the end of summer, really. But we hope you had a good one out there this weekend. My name is Josh Reeves. This is the Global Reality. You're listening to the Global Reality Radio Network at www.theglobalreality.com. Everything that you find up there is there for the show, for pretty much everything that entails anything that I do or am associated with when it comes to trying to get out information. That includes music or whatever it may be. So it's all up there at theglobalreality.com. Tonight, we've got some listener emails as well. We get quite a few that come in after a few days of not having shows. We get a lot that come in. We have one of our listeners, Zohair in Pakistan. He went out with the other night. Last week, we were reading out the Lost Book of Enki, and we were discussing some information in there where they were discussing how they had delineated, who was going to have dominion over what territory. And it talked about the Indus Valley region being given to the control of Inanna. And that's very fascinating. And so Zohair, who lives in Pakistan, had some pictures when he had from the Indus Valley region. They were amazing. He sent them to me. I don't have the ability to put them up in the chat room right now for you guys because I don't have them uploaded anywhere yet. But I'll try to do that so you guys in the chat room can see them. Amazing stuff. And I'll tell you why it's amazing. I've never seen pictures of these. I've never seen pictures of these in, Ancient Aliens. Although now, the spooks that monitor my broadcast that probably have a hand in some of those shows, will probably, we got to find out about this. And then, they'll have whatever the fuck that guy's name is that came out of nowhere. The looks just, that guy's just such a spook. Nobody hears the guy. He comes out of left field. All of a sudden, he's been the big expert on the scene for years. I don't buy it. What was his Giorgio's Supocalypse? Whatever the fuck his name is. That's what we call him. Supocalypse now. The guy that looks like the Greek version of Bud Bundy who fell asleep under a tanning bed. You know who I'm talking about? It had to be by aliens. No, that's Eric Von Daniken. I'm sorry. I was thinking of Supocalypse, but that was Von Daniken's voice. It had to be from ancient aliens. Yes, I am the Jesuit. It's got a little bit of Arnold in there. It's a little bit of an Arnold Schwarzenegger inflection to do it properly. Anyway, Indus Valley rock carvings. You see some pictures. And man, this shit is out of control. I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen any of these in a documentary or anything else. I mean, there's, the double cross and the British flags here. We're talking, 5,000-year-old rock carvings here. And there's one where it's like a flying chariot thing. And then you see the flying chariot again in another relief. And there's a fucking alien with like crab people pincers coming out of this thing. It's clearly an alien. I mean, it looks like crab people. It's kind of like pincers. I shit you not. So thanks to Zohair for sending us those. What's that other place? There's another very famous, is it Mohenjo-Daro? I want to say it's Mohenjo-Daro. But it's in Pakistan as well. But that one, oh man, that one's totally, I mean, it's a pretty no-brainer. That was built by somebody with some advanced technology, certainly more advanced than what we were said to have had at that time. But Zohair, if you're listening, yeah, I mean, if it is indeed Mohenjo-Daro, which I think it is, do you have any? I mean, man, I'd love if you had sent us some footage or pictures from Mohenjo-Daro. That would be incredible. I don't know if that's possible or if you've been there or anything, but you're the only person I've ever talked to in Pakistan, and I just found it amazing that you sent me these great pictures. I want to thank you so much for that, my friend. I'm blown away because I've never seen this, and be it somebody like me, I'm not hard to impress, but sometimes I am when it comes to, seeing certain things, and especially when you're looking at this with a new set of eyes, when you have, I mean, even people, most people who are even religious and have a deep understanding of whatever particular religion they may subscribe to, is going to look at most of these things and and not even know what it is and not make the correlation really, but that's just amazing. But, so thanks to Zohair for sending us those. I'll read his email as well, and I'll get these pictures up this week so you guys can see them as well. He says, hey, Josh, it's Zohair here. According to the Lost Book of Enki, Inanna was granted control over the Indus Valley region. The Indus Valley is located in Pakistan, and I travel a lot to the Indus Valley. It is a beautiful area with some of the highest peaks in the world, more than 8,000 meters high. There are many interesting places to visit. The Aga Khan, the head of the Ismaili sect of Islam, Hassan ibn Saba and the assassins belong to this sect, has built a few Shambhala resort hotels here as well on altitudes close to 3,000 meters. And isn't that interesting? They'd call these things Shambhala. Maybe these guys plan to hide out here when the tsunami hits. One of my visits, I took some pictures of rock carvings. Japanese archaeologists have researched these carvings, and apparently they are close to 5,000 years old. We see a lot of sundials, the cross, the British flag, a flying chariot. And most interestingly, there is one which shows an ET coming out of a spaceship. I'm attaching these to this email. Any comments? There are also carvings of spirals in other areas, similar to the ones that you mentioned in one of your Reality of Illusion videos. So thank you, Zohir. Amazing pictures, and I'll definitely get these up this week so everybody out there in the listening audience can see these. Man, I'm just so lucky. I had a list the other night that I pulled off my server data. I don't ever look at that kind of stuff. I actually check it once or twice a month, see what our, just to see for curiosity's sake what our listenership has been, and it's been increasing and going up. The live listenership. I've been blown away that, considering I don't have a set time for when I start the show, and I just start it basically whenever I want to. I've been blown away how many more live listeners we've had lately. We now have listeners in a total of 34 countries, up from 32, which is great news. And some of these are strange. They don't really tell you what they are. It just says unknown, local. Like the United States is number one, of course. Number two is unknown, local. So the second largest amount of people. That's what I think is like unknown or local are probably like, lines that go into the NSA or, the feds or the spooks or anything else. That's what I theorize they are. I don't know. Number two, I will just say number 3 is United Kingdom. Number 4, Canada. Number 5, Australia. By the way, I got an email. I'm contacted by a radio show, an FM morning show in Sydney, Australia, that want to have me on the show soon. I got to get back with those guys and see about setting that up. So our Australian listenership has been. I see Australia is number 5 here on the list, on the top most listened to, and I don't doubt that because I've gotten mass amounts of emails and people come to the chat room, and we even got a donation from somebody in Australia. Thank you very much. And I'm blown away by that. The Australian listenership has gone through the roof since the Red Eyes thing. And so welcome all you Australians, and thank you so much for listening and telling more people about the show. I'm pretty excited about that, getting to be on, FM radio in Sydney, Australia. That's pretty rad. So I'll definitely let you guys know once I find out when that's going to be. Number 6, the Netherlands. Number 7, Ireland, Finland, Bulgaria, Greece, Israel, Germany, Japan, France, Republic of Korea. Number 16, the Russian Federation. Number 17, South Africa. Number 18, there's that unknown local again. Number 19, China. Christ, they let you listen to this show in China? You can actually even, it's the Great Wall of China 2.0. The big firewall, they actually let my show through there? Well, they won't after. Wow, that's amazing. I thought you'd get, taken to the fucking mobile kill van or something for listening to my show in China. Number 20, Serbia. Number 21, Costa Rica, Brazil, Hungary, Uruguay, Norway, Spain, Colombia, Portugal, Pakistan, Maldives. I don't even know where that is. Maldives? Wow. Cyprus, Ukraine, Mexico, and number 34, Italy. So we have one listener in Italy. One is, and what's funny too is they're all color coded. In the last one, Italy, it's black, like the Jesuits, like the Black Pope. Isn't that interesting? But my point is that with Zohar, they're being in Pakistan. It's these amazing pictures of the Indus Valley, which I've never seen in a documentary or on ancient aliens or anything else, but it's clearly depicting extraterrestrial events. I hope that other people out there, if we've got listeners in this many countries now, you guys probably all out there, we probably have listeners everywhere that are near amazing sites like this. If you live out there, this is what spawned me to ask this. Since both of those things spawned me to ask this. Since I got the email from Zohar, and then I saw how many countries we were listening to in the last 30. By the way, that list was the last 30 days. 34 countries in the last 30 days, up from 32. So, my goodness, there's probably people all over the place out there. If you live where, for instance, let's say you live somewhere in one of the locations around the world that are on these ley lines. You know what I mean? The different sites, and they built all sorts of in different megalithic monuments and, you know, churches, whatever. If you live on one of these ley lines or you live somewhere around there, take pictures of that, get video of that, send it to me. It'd be amazing. I have this kind of an idea for a film project at some point of doing that, where I would basically put together a film that was kind of about, you know, secret societies, different these megalithic sites and how they relate to extraterrestrials and that kind of thing, but doing it with footage that came from pictures and footage from our listeners. You know what I mean? For instance, let's say you live, you know, near Stonehenge, you know, Avebury or something. We have a listener out there and who has a camera. You know, you would go out, film that, whatever, upload it, send it to me, and I would, you know, with your permission, put it in and make it a part of my film. We can get people all over the world that listen to my show that can be contributors to the film with footage, and I would use that in my final product and cut it all together to make it the film, and everybody would get credit for it. It would be this, you know, basically a Josh Reeves film, but with footage shot by the listeners. I had that idea, and if anybody wants to do that, if we start getting stuff in, then after I get done with the Secret Right 2 here in a couple weeks, I'll do that and put that together. That'd be awesome. That'd be an amazing thing. You know, I don't think it's been done, and I would totally love to do that. You know, because I can't get out there and go to all those spots, but if maybe some of you who live out not too far from different spots, you know what the kind I'm talking about. These megalithic monuments. I mean, there's lots in, you know, there's some in England, they're all over the place. Or these different occult spots, you know, all over Europe and Germany and South America, everywhere. But I mean, this list pretty much entails almost the whole planet. If we could get one person in each one of these 34 countries that I just named to send us a piece of footage of some, you know, a cathedral that's on a ley line, or, you know, something that's related to the conspiracy, so to speak, that would be a pretty rad thing. So, thanks again to Zohair for sending that in. That's very interesting. We'll get back into more emails later on in the show. I just wanted to read that one real quick because of those pictures and stuff. We'll get into some news and then we'll come back. But if you want to send in emails tonight, when we get back to emails later on in the show, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. It's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. This month is the 4-year anniversary. It's actually, if you want to be technical about it, and you want to count how many, you know, like they count television seasons. Well, technically I started the show in 2007, now it's 2011, that's 4 years. Well, if you were to count it in how they count, you know, seasons and stuff like in media, it actually would be my 5th season, because I did from September to January 2007. I did radio shows all throughout that time. And then all of 2008, all of 2009, all of 2010, and now almost all of 2011. So, this is our 4-year anniversary, and we've been running on the same gear and equipment and stuff. It's time to get new stuff, but oftentimes our support every month only gives us enough money just to pay the bills, and we barely got by on that this month. Someone made a donation last night to finally get us over the top, so thank you so much. But we're down to zero now. So we are having a 4-year anniversary fundraiser. Please go there to my website, theglobalreality.com, and the shipping banner is there for that. We don't have commercials. We like to keep it that way. We don't have sponsors. We like to keep it that way. Last thing I want to see, and the last thing you want to see, is a bunch of garbage, flashing and all that. God, I can't even stand it anymore, man. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. I was talking about the chat room earlier. I saw some disappointing stuff earlier tonight, and I was just like, is that? I don't know. I guess it's whatever, you know. Let's see what we have here tonight. Oh, I was going to tell you about a documentary I watched over the weekend. It was called The Revelation of the Pyramid. And it was narrated by that guy, Brian Cox. You know what I'm talking about? What was in that movie, Rushmore? Remember, he's the principal? Fisher. He's got, I think he's Scottish. But I think he was in X-Men as well. But it's pretty interesting because it has most of the information that, the kind of stuff that's been in the Ancient Alien show on History Channel. But it's a very mainstream documentary, but it doesn't come from the standpoint of like aliens are behind this. But what's interesting about it is it seems to me that, like, you know, the data is so there. They show how the golden ratio and pi and all that are both in the Great Pyramids. They really get into the mathematics and the stone cutting and all that stuff. Stressing the fact, that there are cuts inside of the Great Pyramids and stuff that are done to 1/1000th of an inch. 1/1000th of an inch with a goddamn hammer and a chisel. It's just not possible. But what's interesting is that if you've got people that are on the fence about this type of information, if you've got people that won't watch Ancient Aliens, even though a lot of what they're saying on the show is true, but because they have to try and shove down your throat every 2 seconds that it's aliens, it turns some people off. But what this does is basically that kind of thing, but without trying to shove and in fact, they only mention aliens once or twice, briefly. But it just really shows you that it's idiotic to try and explain the precision of these different megalithic sites, and they go all over the place. They go to Machu Picchu, I think, and they go to Easter Island and Sexy Woman. Or David Hatcher Childress on I hope he doesn't hear this and hate my guts, because I really admire the guy. I think he's a great researcher and put out some good work, and they've tried to defame him. If I ever make fun of you, please don't, whoever you are out there, unless I'm going, hey, you don't know nothing, or, folks, this stuff's real. It's real, folks. We're in DEFCON 5. But please don't get mad if I make fun of you. I honestly would I mean everything, and it's just, it's all for show. I don't mean anything by it. But David Hatcher Childress, you always see him. He's like foaming at the mouth. He's like, the ancient aliens will send him down to some ancient megalithic site. He's all excited. Sexy Woman. There's that site called Sexy Woman, and it's like, sounds like every time you say it, sounds like you're saying sexy woman. Those guys, see, that's how we know that was built by extraterrestrials, because Inky's the one that's always running around wanting to get his dick wet, Only he would name something after that. That's hilarious. But anyway, the documentary is really good, and it's, like I said, a lot of people are going to watch this documentary, and they're going to probably walk away from it agreeing almost 100% with everything put forward in it. And little will they know, they'll inadvertently also be agreeing with all of the so-called ancient alien proponents. And I love how on fucking ancient aliens, they always say, ancient astronaut theorists believe. Now, I have never met anybody in my life that calls himself an ancient astronaut theorist. That was built and constructed by the same people who constructed the term conspiracy theorist. You can't talk about information that's not accepted in the mainstream, or you're a conspiracy theorist. I mean, it's just complete horseshit. Third grade level stuff. And it's obvious that the people that try to put that out are definitely, gatekeepers. Sexy Woman. We're out here at Sexy Woman. Can you believe that these rocks were built by ancient people? They didn't have technology to do that. This had to be built by extraterrestrials. Oh, man. But it's just, the whole thing about it is that, again, this film, like they called the Revelation, you can look it up, I think it's called The Revelation of the Pyramid with Brian Cox. And it's just one of those good ones where, if you've got somebody in your family that is kind of hesitant about some of this information, it's a good one to get them in, because you can make them watch it, you can watch the whole thing, and then you can go, okay, now watch this, and you can show them something else, and they'll see the extraterrestrial thing, and they'll be like, well, because then you've got them, If you get them believing into the science of it that's there, I mean, after that, it really doesn't matter. Then it's just people wanting to deny it because, people just programmed by, people that aren't even religious are programmed by religious programming. You guys ever notice that? It's true. I mean, people that don't go to church and didn't really grow up in a Christian family or a religious family or whatever it may be, that doesn't make them free from the superstitions and everything else. People were just innately programmed with that through culture and years and years and years of it, and being mammalian and copying the leaders of the tribe. That's really what we do. But yeah, I thought it was a fantastic idea to try. Yeah, so again, if people out there, you have footage, any of these ancient sites, anything all around the world, please send them to us. Let's do this. Let's go forward with that. Let's see what we have here on the news tonight. My God, the stack of fucking news I have. I don't even know where to begin. Woo! I'm going to have to get some air and get ready for this. Take a breather. Let's just start all the way back. I got stuff even up here from last week, man. All the way from last week. Let's start at the top of the stack. Man, oh man, when I saw this one, I went instantly, oh wow, this is another blatant, in-your-face bloodline marriage here. Just no question. An American royal wedding, Bush and Lauren mixed politics with fashion this weekend. So Ralph Lauren, David Lauren, son of legendary designer Ralph Lauren, and Lauren Bush, granddaughter of President George Herbert Walker Bush and niece of President George W., will join forces in holy matrimony. I mean, absolute. That's Ralph Lauren. Lauren? I mean, they're Merovingians, man, all the way. So yet again, it's just right there in our faces, and most people just look at this and go, oh, blah blah blah. Well, they just marry each other because rich people hang out with other rich people, right? But why do you think of that sort of tiered classism is there? That tiered classism is there for that specific purpose. But people just think that's just the way it is. Well, that is just the way it is. But it's that way by design. It's that way so they can make sure that they keep it in the family, keep it in the bloodline, so the power structure continues. I about pissed myself when I saw this one last week. FEMA's now saying that they check and see how bad hurricanes are going to be, depending on how what Waffle House is serving on the menu. I shit you not. I mean, what does Waffle House know that we don't know? Is Waffle House like the true secret government in this country? Fuck FEMA. I mean, that may explain why those fuckers are everywhere. I call them the Awful House. The goddamn Awful House. Many people think that the official motto of the U.S. Postal Service begins neither snow nor rain nor heat nor gloom of night and testifies to the dauntless of mailmen. In fact, the Postal Service has no motto, meaning the statement of purpose is free for others to use as their own. Huffington Post Food would like to suggest an unlikely taker, Waffle House. According to the Wall Street Journal's Valerie Burline, the 62-year-old Southern food chain has a long-standing reputation for staying open during natural disasters, and if a storm is too intense to stay open straight through the worst of it, Waffle House has especially strong protocols for getting back online quickly. Its hurricane playbook explains how to reopen a restaurant and what to serve if there is gas but no electricity, or a generator but no ice. An important element is limiting the menu so the company's supply chain can focus on keeping certain items stocked and chilled or frozen. Waffle House's tenacity and preparedness are so watertight that FEMA Director Craig Fugate has joked that he watches a Waffle House index of disaster magnitude. He can tell how bad a disaster is going to be and how much of its menu Waffle House is serving. You can't make this up. For example, if a Waffle House store is open and offering a full menu, the index is green. If it is open but serving from a limited menu, it's yellow. When the location has been forced to close, the index is red. Because Waffle House is prepared for disasters, Cavallo said it is rare for the index to hit red. For example, the Joplin, Missouri Waffle House survived the tornado and remained open. As FEMA Administrator Craig Fugate explained in the Wall Street Journal, if you get there and the Waffle House is closed, that's really bad. That's where you go to work. This is not The Onion. This is not 10 Boiled Times. The goddamn government is using the fucking Waffle House. I mean, this, you can't make that up. Oh my God. Oh man. You know what? I think Alex Jones has been wrong all along about this. They're not going to declare martial law and take you to a FEMA camp. They're going to declare martial law and take your ass to a Waffle House. I hope you like them smothered, covered, diced, chunked, and topped. That's the way you get it, whether you like it or not, at the Waffle House. That's where you're going, Bubba, when the shit goes down. You're sentenced to eat Waffle House for the rest of your life. Jesus Christ. You're going to be pooping over the moon, man. That chili they serve there comes only with beans and you can't get it any other way. Oh, man. See, I'm a musician. I've been on the road and stuff. Man, oh, God, I've been on a lot of road trips. There's always a Waffle House, dude. Shit will tear your gut up. I got a steak there one time, a long time ago. And I got it like, I don't know, medium or something, or medium rare even. This motherfucker was like a piece of leather. Waffle House is new. I mean, it reminds me of that movie Idiocracy. Let's go get a hand job at Starbucks. You went to college at Costco? We're sorry. Your children are now in the custody of Carl's Jr. Fuck you, I'm eating. I mean, we've gotten to that level, haven't we? It's really here now. That was the thing when that movie Idiocracy came out. Everybody was like talking about how funny it was. And I didn't actually think it was funny until the second time I watched it because I was so mortified when I first watched it. When, people think that this is coming, 100 years from now, or, it's here already. We've already reached this level. Goddamn pro wrestlers as presidents and shit. You're going to see that in your lifetime. That's how ridiculous it's gotten. Let's see what else we have here tonight. Green Day frontman Billy Joe Armstrong says he was kicked off a Southwest Airlines flight Thursday night for wearing his pants too low, for sagging. I had a dream a couple of months ago. It was a zombie apocalypse dream. I tell you guys about that one? So fucking real, so vivid and real. And I shit you not, in this dream, I'm sitting there, there's like zombies, like they're kind of far off, they're not close, but you'd walk through certain areas and you'd see one, and they were all over the place. And I remember I was walking under this underpass, and I turned around, I heard, behind me. And I turned around, and I shit you not, there's a fucking Billy Joe Armstrong is a zombie, the guy from Green Day. I don't even like Green Day, and I don't listen to their music, and I hadn't recently seen anything. I liked it when I was 16. They were great when I was 16, yeah. Fuck yeah. But now I'm 35, and I'm not really listening to much Green Day lately, but I had this fucking dream, man, this zombie apocalypse dream, and there's Billy Joe Armstrong fucking as a zombie, and he looks just like it looks in this picture right here. I'm not kidding you. That's what's blowing my mind about this article of him getting kicked off a fucking plane. And I shit you not, he looked exactly like he looks in that picture there that I dropped in the chat room. And I'm sitting there turning around and I'm fucking mortified. I'm like, holy fucking shit, that's Billy Joe Armstrong. Oh, holy fucking shit, he's a fucking zombie. God damn, I better get the fuck out of here. And right when I'm about to run, I see this guy come around behind me on my right? And he's hauling ass. And I look over, this guy's hauling ass behind me. He's got a baseball bat with nails hammered through it, and he just runs up and just fucking one-times Billy Joe Armstrong in the head, zombie Billy Joe Armstrong with this thing, and his fucking head just explodes, man. Pieces go everywhere. I'm like, holy shit, that was awesome! And then I got the fuck out of there, and oh man, it was wild. Anyway, zombie apocalypse dreams, here you go. So I don't know, I was going through the stack of news and I saw that article. I was like, Jesus Christ, that's exactly how I looked at my dreams. What's the moral of this story? Always keep a baseball bat with nails in it around in case you run into zombie Billy Joe Armstrong. That's the moral of the story. I like to have, as much bullshit as in this news, and as easy as it is sometimes to, get into just, people that fearmonger and the people that use this stuff to try and enrage people and bring the anger level up and the negative energy level up and the ramp up for armed conflict up. It's very easy to do that when you look at the things that are going on a daily basis. That's why I choose to put some stories in there that are funny and make you laugh sometimes. I understand. I'm very aware that what we deal with is very serious, and all of this information is very serious. If I didn't take this seriously, folks, I wouldn't dedicate my entire fucking existence to this. I'd go out and get some sunlight every now and again, but my God, this is what I have to do. But I have to say that, I do like to have stories like that last one and stories like this one as well, just to keep it light. I saw this the other night. This just cracked me up. Just the image of this in my head, Drivers scramble for free weed after drug smuggler wrecks truck. A truck carrying a large quantity of marijuana wrecked in San Jose earlier this week, scattering its cargo across a roadway and creating a feeding frenzy as drivers passing by scrambled to collect as much as possible. Can you imagine? I mean, this guy's just driving on the road, this fucking truck just tumps over and there's just weed going everywhere. And everybody's sort of going around, everybody creates a fucking traffic jam, because everybody's getting out, Homeboy over here is taking his fucking shirt off and loading his shit up in here. Motherfuckers stuffing their pockets and shit. Getting old Happy Meal out of the car, loading shit up in there. Holy shit. After the wreck, which San Jose police say took place near Oak Ridge Mall around 1 a.m. on Wednesday, the driver immediately fled. This is my favorite part. This part, literally, I almost pee myself right now even reading this statement. Once police arrived on the scene, very little marijuana was left. They cleaned it dry. The cops got there. There was a couple of seeds and a stem and, no evidence, nothing depended on, nobody depended on, but everybody went home with some free weed. That is fucking funny. Authorities said once police arrived on the scene, very little marijuana was left. Fucking, that just goes to show you how many fucking, potheads there are out there now. 10, 20 years ago, that would have happened. There would have been like 2 people picking it up and they would have been arrested. Now it said everybody that sees this shit go down is loading up their pockets, and there's not even any evidence left. It's hilarious. They are really ramping up the terrorist fear-mongering stuff again, aren't they, folks? Right around the time of 9/11, getting that fear and anxiety level up again. Contradicting themselves all over the map. Simultaneously telling us that we're safer because 9/11 happened. Oh, yeah, you didn't hear about that? They're literally saying now that the world is safer today than in the aftermath of the September 11th attacks on the United States, with global terror groups weaker than 10 years ago, senior EU and NATO officials said on Monday. So, according to senior EU and NATO officials, had 9/11 not happened, we wouldn't be as safe as we are now. That's what they're saying. So by that rationale, since we know that these people are the ones that pulled off 9/11, that's an admission of guilt right there. We've had endless war. We've had more control. This is what gave them a blank check. So, of course, they're going to tell us, oh, we're safer now than we were before. Yeah. Because they have more control over everything. Unbelievable stuff. But yet, again, they're contradicting themselves all over the place. They're saying, well, for instance, feds warn of small airplane terror threats. The FBI and Homeland Security have issued a nationwide warning about al-Qaeda threats to small airplanes just days before the anniversary of the 2001 terrorist attacks. And I love how they sensationalize it right up with that, right? But then you have to read down the article, and the authorities say there is no specific or credible terrorist threat for the 10-year anniversary of the attacks. on the World Trade Center and Pentagon, but they have stepped up security nationwide as a precaution, right? So basically what we have now is periodically at certain points in the year, on certain anniversaries, well, the anniversary of 9/11 or the 4th of July or the inauguration of the president, whatever it may be, notice how they're becoming more and more frequent. Certain days at certain times of the year now, we've got to ramp up security and ramp up everything else just as a precaution. You see how that perpetuates itself, how that becomes never-ending? Because then, because now we can have Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day, the time the dirty Japanese terrorists bombed us. Well, we need to have heightened security so the dirty Japanese terrorists don't bomb us again. Literally, they'll probably come out with something like that. So we need to watch out for small airplanes, and we need to have more security. Yet, Big Sister herself, Jenna Napolitano, came to Dallas actually last week. And while she was here in Dallas, I seriously need to figure out how to get media passes so I can start go to stuff like this to cover it. Anybody out there know how I can get media passes for a new media outlet like mine? I've been going for 4 years here. It's time I do that. If anybody has information on how I can do that, get literal press credentials, very interested in doing that. Please send me an email at globalrealityshow@gmail.com if you have any information pertaining to how I can get press credentials. That'd be great. So Jenna Napolitano, who's usually doom and gloom and telling us what a threat the terrorists are, right after we read this article, about heightened security and the risk of small planes, says a September 11th style attack probably would be disrupted if it were planned today, U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security Jenna Napolitano said during a visit to Dallas on Thursday. There's no guarantees. Napolitano told the Dallas Morning News editorial board when asked whether the country is safer a decade later. But so right there, she's saying, well, yeah, it probably would fail because we're more prepared. That makes me worry because normally when she's, threat this, threat that, oh, no problems. We got this. We're not worried about there's another attack. We're more prepared. We would be able to thwart it. Well, if they do pull off another event like a 9/11, and it happens and it goes through without a hitch, that's going to give them more of the ability to be able to say, oh, well, we're going to have to lock it down even tighter because we tightened things down this much. We got things tightened down, to the point where everybody in America was freaking out and screaming about it. But yet, even though we did all that and we took away people's rights and everything else, we still got attacked. So we're going to have to, we're going to have to completely, start instituting things on people for, free speech, and we're going to have to end that. It blows my mind to see people still running this article. Non-intrusive scanners spare travelers' blushes. Oh yeah, we have non-intrusive scanners in the airports now. Right, but that again, I've talked about this once. I have to reiterate this again. I know you're tired of hearing me say it, but I have to say it again. They intentionally made in the media the issue of these body scanners the issue of being able to see your naked body or not. And even Jonesy jumped in and did his little shillery and played right into that with his little contest and all that crap that he did. It's never been about whether you could see your naked body or not. That was propagated by the media. The issue is the scanner themselves. And everybody's gone to sleep on this issue now. Everybody was up in arms about this 6 months ago. Now everybody's gone back to sleep about it because they think, oh, well, they can't see your body now, so that's okay. No, it's the scanner itself. It unzips your DNA. That was a fact. That came from MIT. And yet people are buying, oh, well, you can't see your body, so it's okay. Yeah, I don't mind now. Never mind what you're being zapped with. This is criminal. We don't need to stand for this. The scanner is the issue. It always has been the issue and always will be the issue. Now it's up to you and me and the rest of us out here to continue to tell people that. I missed this one earlier when I was talking about the bloodline thing. Tony Blair is the godfather to Rupert Murdoch's daughter. Well, of course. Rupert Murdoch is Knights of Malta. Tony Blair probably is. Yeah, actually, Tony Blair is as well. Yeah, no, I forgot about that. Yeah, he is. Had that in the Secret Ride Volume 1 film. Yeah. There you go. Knights of Malta, Bloodline, but yet the person in question who we're talking about. Now, think about Tony Blair, right? Got to picture him in your mind. Think about Rupert Murdoch. Okay. Got to picture him in your mind. Now, this is the chick we're talking about. Okay. Next. Oh, yeah. Earlier, again, when I was talking about, I forgot I had this one tying into what we were talking about with the terrorist thing with DePontalo. Oh, we'd probably thwart it. No big deal. No big deal. But yet all this other news is, terror, terror, terror. So what are they trying to tell us? There may be terrorist attacks, but don't worry about it, because if there are, we're going to stop it anyway because we're more prepared. That does sound like a plausible scenario, doesn't it? They stage a hijacking or stage something else or stage an attack that doesn't actually go off, but use it to show, how prepared they are. And, oh, my gosh, to justify the continuing stuff that they've done. And best believe before the elections next year, they'll be looking for something like that, especially the Obama administration, looking for something like that that'll give them a blank check. They got a blank check after 9/11, or the whole power structure did, but Obama's looking for something that'll give him that blank check. And being able to say that he thwarted an attack and caught bin Laden, well, that's bullshit political leverage. That's what that is. U.S. issues worldwide 9/11 travel alert to Americans. So don't worry about it. We've got it under control. If one happens, we'll stop it anyway. The earth is continuing to rumble. We have more earthquakes, more tsunamis. A 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck Friday on the Altoona Islands off of Alaska. 6.8 there. We had also where did I see this other one at? Say 6.6 magnitude in Indonesia on Tuesday. Or actually today. They are scanning 2.4 billion people's eyes in India with biometrics in a new program. It's like 4 pages of stuff. I'm not going to read it, but they start with a third world first and then move up, folks. Just like we knew was going to happen. The defense establishment will hold a special emergency drill this week simulating an enemy strike on Israel's nuclear facility. Operation Fernando will aim to test the defense establishment's readiness for the worst-case scenario, a missile strike on the facility itself or its immediate surroundings. Yedath Abramonoth reported the drill, whose details have been classified as top secret, is scheduled for Tuesday. Given its classification, only a handful of senior defense establishment officials are privy to its outline. The Israel Atomic Energy Agency will oversee the drill along with the Homefront Command and Ministry for Homefront Defense. So they're simulating an attack on a nuclear drill, on a nuclear plant in Israel. When are they going to do this? Today, Tuesday now. 9/6/11. That's pretty numerologically significant. Maybe they're gonna, maybe that's gonna be the first line of it. We know they love to launch real events during drills, which is really the only importance of paying attention to these drills, because it's something that they have a history of doing. They've done it multiple times, not once, not twice. They've done it a lot. 9/11, of course, was one. 7/7 again, but it definitely something to pay attention to. Keep our eyes on that tomorrow. We hear any reports, anything coming out of Israel, we definitely want to make sure we pay attention to that. Earlier I mentioned this ability to be able to increasingly justify the taking away of free speech. And that's why I cuss and say what I want to say here on this show and let it all fly, because I just, for years, I just really got tired of hearing people on radio networks I was on bitch about free speech and the Constitution and everything else, but yet they're censoring their own selves and they're not saying what they really want to say and what they really feel because, they're trying to play into the game of radio stations or sponsors or anything else. And it just was so hypocritical to me. And I've always felt that, if you don't exercise a freedom that you have while you still have it, then one day when you don't have, if maybe you don't have that freedom anymore, you're not looking back and wishing you would have exercised it when you had a chance. That's why I do what I do, because the way things are going, I may not live in a country in the future where I'm able to say the things that I am now on a radio station and in films and have it out there. So I owe it not only to myself, but everybody to exercise this and use this freedom while I still have a chance to use it in the way that I use it here. Over the past several years, the Justice Department has increasingly attempted to criminalize what is clearly protected political speech by prosecuting numerous individuals, Muslims, needless to say, for disseminating political views the government dislikes or considers threatening. The latest episode emerged on Friday when the FBI announced the arrest and indictment of Jubair Ahmad, a 24-year-old Pakistani legal resident living in Virginia, charged with providing material support to a designated terrorist organization, Lashkar-e-Taiba LET. What is the material support he allegedly gave? He produced and uploaded a 5-minute video to YouTube featuring photographs of U.S. abuses in Abu Ghraib, video of armored trucks exploding after being hit by IEDs, prayer messages about jihad from LET's leader, and according to the FBI's affidavit, a number of terrorist logos. That in turn led the FBI agent who signed the affidavit to assert that based on his training and experience, it is evident that the video is designed as propaganda to develop support for LET and to recruit jihadists to LET. The FBI also claims Ahmed spoke with the son of an LET leader about the contents of the video and had attended an LET camp when he was a teenager in Pakistan. For the act of uploading that single YouTube video and for denying that he did so when asked by the FBI, agents who came to his home to interrogate him, he faces 23 years in prison. Let's be very clear about the key point. The Constitution, specifically the Free Speech Clause of the First Amendment, prohibits the U.S. government from punishing someone for the political views they express, even if those views include the advocacy of violence against the U.S. and its leaders. One can dislike this legal fact, one can wish it were different, but it is a clear and unambiguous law and has been since the Supreme Court's unanimous 1969 decision in Brandenburg versus Ohio, which overturned the criminal conviction of a Ku Klux Klan leader who had publicly threatened violence against political officials in a speech. In doing so, the Brandenburg court struck down as unconstitutional an Ohio statute under which the KKK leader was prosecuted that made it a crime to advocate the duty, necessity, or propriety of crime, sabotage, violence, or unlawful methods. The fact of the matter is that number one, if you still buy into that Constitution lie, that's where your problem is. Now, when I say that I'm exercising my free speech while I still have it, I'm exercising my free speech as I see fit. That's only because in most cases that is protected. Now, a lot of this stuff is being propagated so that they can have an excuse to bring it down. So this is what they want. The illusion of right, so they can tear that down, so they can have more people come in and and get mad and be up in arms about all this. But the fact of the matter is, it is the criminalization of speech. And I got to be real honest with you. This, had this guy not been Muslim, this wouldn't have happened. That's just all there is to it. I hate to have to say that, but it's a fact. If you're Muslim in this country, you have everything to worry about. That's just all there is to it, man. Every single person in the United States of America is a goddamn racist. And if somebody tells you they're not, they're fucking lying. Every one of us. I am, you are, all of us. We're all fucking racist in a little small way. We can't help but be. All of us are. Now, I don't consider myself one, but whether I consider myself one or you probably don't consider yourself racist either, but that doesn't matter. We all are. In some small ways. Some more, a lot worse than others, but we all are in our very own small ways. And that's just the way things are. But we all learn to live together through it, and it's not a problem. The only time it becomes a problem is when it's propagated and popped up by the media. But if you're Muslim in this country, a country which was set up and founded by the Masons and the Templars, and you have the southern jurisdiction in the southern states, and during the Civil War, you had Confederate generals like Albert Pike, who was the founder of the Ku Klux Klan, who was operating with Jesuits and the Knights of Malta, and corresponding with the Pope at that time. These guys have been creating this system for the longest time so that they can create divisional groups, so that these groups can be set up, radicalized, tagged a threat, and eliminated one by one. And they're just working their way back. Right now they're focusing on Semitics, Arabs, Jews. They're focusing on that. Depopulation agendas going on in Africa and South America. And they're moving on and on up the food chain. And I've been amazed, and now that I've cracked the code of why this is, I've been amazed how little coverage, and we know why that is. It's because that's who these guys work for in the Truth Movement, the Patriot Movement. How little coverage the fact that this entire quote-unquote New World Order Illuminati conspiracy, just how racist it really is at its core. This whole thing, dude, is being run, and Alex Jones, I've heard him say it a million times, well, they're people of all colors, white people, they don't care, they're crazy stormtrooper cops. No, man. A white person always gets out of more than a black person or a Hispanic does or anything else. That's just the way it is. That's because they run this system. And I got to tell you, this thing is more aimed at the elimination of non-whites than anybody in the Truth Movement, Patriot Movement has ever really iterated. It really is. If you really examine this stuff, everything is designed towards, the systematic destruction or disenfranchisement of people of any color other than white. And the element of that, and really how strong and deep it is in this whole system, is very overlooked and very underreported on in the Truth Movement. I hope that through the work we do here, we can change that. Otherwise, people are going to get drawn into these divisionary tactics. They're going to get drawn into this Civil War stuff again, and it's going to get ugly, man. And that's what we don't need. We need everybody coming together right now more than ever. The United States Postal Service has long lived on the financial edge, but it has never been as close to the precipice as it is today. The agency is so low on cash it will not be able to make a $5.5 billion payment due this month, and may have to shut down entirely this winter until unless Congress takes emergency action to stabilize its finances. Interesting how the Postal Service starts shutting down right in the middle of election season, huh? Because there are a lot of people out there, a lot of the donations are made, Postal Service, stuff like that. But another ploy to raise taxes, another ploy to get you to bail out a government organization, which would not have any kind of money problems if we didn't have this phony fiat currency system. That's just the way it is. Researchers have created the smallest electric motor ever devised. The motor made from a single molecule just a billionth of a meter across is reported in Nature Nanotechnology. The minuscule motor could have applications in both nanotechnology and in medicine, where tiny amounts of work can be put to efficient use. Tiny rotors based on single molecules have been shown before, but this is the first time that they can be individual by an electric current. So they, God, they've had nanotech and little machines and sentient things that go inside of you that they can put in injections. Man, they've had that for decades. When they start telling you they got it, that means they've had it for 10 years. Lots of interesting news over the past few weeks about the moon, hasn't there been? I mean, we've had all this origins of the moon has been a very particular hot topic lately, and I think that that's been interesting with the stuff we read out of the Lost Book of Enki as well. Talking about, the Anunnaki running the Earth from the moon. One of our listeners last week sent us an email talking about that movie, The Truman Show, with Jim Carrey that came out back in the 90s, where his whole life's a TV show and he doesn't know it, and this corporation adopted him from birth, and their whole base of operations is on this, is on the moon. And it talks about that in the Lost Book of Enki, the Anunnakis, running things on Earth from the moon. Well, I noticed something interesting. Whoever it was that sent that email to us last week, I wanted to tell you about this as well. I watched that movie over the weekend, and about 5 minutes into the movie, right at the very beginning of the movie, he's walking out to his car, and he hears this and this big crash. Well, one of the lights, I guess, from one of the stars, because the whole thing takes place in this giant dome, and one of the lamps from the ceiling of this giant dome comes crashing down in the middle of the day, and it's this lighting, and he's like, what the fuck is this? It's a lighting rig thing, and he picks it up, and he's looking at it, and it has a label on top of it that says Sirius. I think it says Sirius B. Or Sirius 6, or Sirius, I can't remember, I couldn't tell what it said. It definitely said Sirius, and it said Canis Major. So isn't that interesting that the light symbolizing Sirius falls on the ground right on the street in front of Jim Carrey at the beginning of that movie, and then the Anunnaki running their stuff from the moon. So that's very interesting. Scientists have long been puzzled by the difference in topography between different sides of the moon, with the near side being flat and the far side being much more mountainous. Now astronomers believe that the moon was struck by a huge object in a big splat, which gave our solar companion its giant peaks and coated one side of it with a crust tens of kilometers thick. Yeah, so again, that's talked about that in the Sumerian text. The collision that happened with the moon and this other object. The theory published in Nature was developed from the idea that the moon was originally created when a planet the size of Mars struck Earth. It's thought that this collision created a secondary object that eventually fell into the moon. Interesting stuff there. More weather modification news. I don't know if you guys noticed this where you live, but here in Dallas over the weekend, we had a cool front blow in. We went from having 107-degree days here to having, it's like 60-something degrees outside right now. It's very nice, And so this cool front blew in over the weekend. But a couple weeks ago, we had some listeners sending in emails locally here from Dallas saying, hey, have you noticed that since the heat wave's been going on, there hasn't been chemtrails? And I said, well, yeah, there hasn't been chemtrails during the day. There's been chemtrails at night, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, Moonbat time. We're doing shows and stuff. There's been blanketing all summer, but just at night. Well, very interestingly, to update on that, I've noticed that, I guess Friday, we started getting hit with tic-tac-toe grids, all kinds of heart-blasted chemies. I mean, we were getting hit with them all on Friday, and lo and behold, here comes that cold front on Saturday. And so over the past few days, I've been noticing chemtrails a lot more during the day. And then lately at night, it's been pretty clear. Friday night, it was pretty hazy, but last couple of nights, it's been pretty clear out there. A helium balloon the size of Wembley Stadium and a 14-mile garden hose, how scientists plan to cool down the planet. It may sound like the crazed plan of a James Bond villain, but scientists are working on a way to artificially cool the planet by reflecting sunlight away from the Earth. In a largely theoretical field known as geoengineering, a team of British academics is about to announce a world first with plans to field test an artificial volcano as a solution to global warming. Wow, wow. So again, just like I've been telling you for months, they're going to roll out all this phony new geoengineering the planet for climate change stuff and tell us that it works and we're helping fight climate change by doing this, so they can use that as a front for what they're doing, what they have been doing for a great deal of time with the chemtrail operation, but then in turn twist it around so that they make us pay for it through taxes, carbon tax, whatever have you. So I think that this is a big ploy for them to get us to pick up the tab for years and years of all this chemtrail spraying. They're tired of having to, get this done with the black ops budget that they just sell us on the phony global warming stuff and then roll out this supposed new technology to quote-unquote geoengineer the planet, which we're just now doing. Oh, horseshit, man. You can go find in 2 seconds the history of geoengineering the climate, how long they've been creating climate change and weather changing and weather modification. It's been going on for years. But them touting this out as if it's new can only have one purpose, and that purpose is to get us to believe that this is where the chemtrails are coming from, so we'll pick up the tab for it. And it's pretty simple. Let's see what else we have here tonight. You guys hear about they're running a terrorism drill at the Phoenix airport, and they had live explosives and they got lost. Boy, that was just an op. That has op written all over it, doesn't it? Now, we know for a fact these guys most of the time they never bring a live explosive to a drill at an airport. The only reason there would have been real live ammunition, live explosives there, is if this was an actual op, a black op, probably to blow up a plane gone awry. They got busted. This is their cover story. Unbelievable stuff. Oh, speaking of unbelievable stuff, researchers harvest beetle's wing energy to power the mind-controlled chip in its brain. Nazi lesbian hookers abducted by UFOs and forced into weight loss programs. I mean, unbelievable stuff. As you may or may not be aware, DARPA and other organizations have been trying to make small aircraft that are modeled on insects. I say they already have. I've seen these things for years, man. These big moths and shit. I saw one time, man. I swear it had a chip in it and it was like a camera. It was like watching me. I swear to God. Call me crazy. Call me paranoid conspiracy theorist, man. But I saw one of these and it was buzzing around. It was huge. It was like a fucking little bird, dude. They've been trying to make small aircraft that are modeled on insects. The problem they ran into, however, was that these little aircraft needed something to power their wings. And the weight of a power source was prohibitive. Did they give up? No. Instead, they gave real beetles mind control implants that allowed them to be remotely controlled. The problem was what they ran into there was that the mind control implants needed to be powered and batteries were still problematic. Of course, the next logical step researchers in Michigan took was to fit the beetles with piezoelectronics on their wings so that piezoelectronics on their wings so that they power their own mind control implants through flight. Yes, this is a thing that is happening. And that's, to me, is, ties into the future of what they want to do with transhumanism. Fit you with all this technology, merge you with machines, and then run it off your own bioelectricity. That's the plan, ladies and gentlemen. Indiana State Police say they encountered a shirtless man wielding a 35-inch-long samurai sword on the inner shoulder of Interstate 65 on Sunday near the U.S. Highway 30. Police say farther north, a Toyota has been abandoned in the middle lane of a southbound I-65 and 61st Avenue. This guy just jumps out of his car, abandons it, and pulls out a fucking 35-inch-long samurai sword and just starts walking. I mean, people are losing their shit all over the place, man, for no good goddamn reason anymore. The swordsman who wore plaid knee-length shorts was marching like a drum major, holding the sword, moving it up and down in rhythm with his marching cadence. When a state trooper approached him, the man swung the sword in a defensive manner. The swordsman was handcuffed by Maryville police who were on the scene after he tried to gain entrance to a motorist's vehicle. At the Lake County, Indiana jail, the offender announced he was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. State police said he was charged with attempted carjacking, resisting law enforcement, and possession of marijuana. Authorities say that the erratically behaving man gave several different names and his identity has not yet been established. They described him as being in his mid to late 40s. Oh, my goodness. You guys hear about this? I think she's Chinese. They want to give her, put her in front of a firing squad for swallowing a big, large amount of ecstasy pills she was attempting to swallow. A sad fate has come upon a woman who was caught carrying ecstasy pills on her stomach in Bali's International Airport. 24-year-old Sampwat Umaduin can be faced with a punishment of death penalty because of an attempt to smuggle 1,280 ecstasy pills to a resort island in Bali. According to authorities, the Thai woman was nervous when she arrived in the airport and was having a bad stomachache, which was followed by a body search. When she was brought to the hospital, the doctors were shocked to find 1,280 ecstasy pills in her stomach, which weighed around a pound and cost $50,000. The pills were wrapped in plastic that she swallowed at around 90 times. She explained that she was in danger in Bangkok and that she needed money badly. Then an Israeli man offered her money in exchange that she swallows the pills and smuggle it to the island. Under Indonesian drug law, she could be faced with two punishments: life imprisonment or death penalty by firing squad. This is indeed a sad fate for the woman, and the Israeli man should be arrested too because he was the one who owned the drugs. I hope the Indonesian government will consider a bit tighter rule because she was just a drug mule who needed the money when the one who should be heavily punished is the man. Yeah. So firing squad for swallowing ecstasy pills. My goodness. You know, I've talked many times about the hackers and these guys working for the software companies. That's an absolute fact. Interesting article here from Computer World. Hackers steal SSL certificates for CIA, MI6, and Mossad. The tally of digital certificates stolen from a Dutch company in July has exploded to more than 500, including ones for intelligence services like the CIA, the UK's MI6, and Israel's Mossad, a Mozilla developer said Sunday. The confirmed count of fraudulently issued SSL secure socket layer certificates now stands at 531. A Mozilla developer who was a part of the team that has been working to modify Firefox to block all sites signed with purloined certificates. Among the affected domains, said Markham, are those of the CIA, MI6, Mossad, Microsoft, Yahoo, Skype, Facebook, Twitter, and Microsoft Windows Update Service. Now that someone presumably from Iran has obtained a legit HTTPS certificate for CIA.gov, I wonder if the U.S. government will pay attention to this mess. So there you go. I mean, they can tell all this stuff about hackers and LulzSec and, you know, all this shit. The fact of the matter is the big player hackers work for the MI6 and they work for Mossad. See, that was a conspiracy theory not too long ago. Now it's, you know, accepted fact. Woo-hoo. I am winded. We're going to take a break, come back, get into some more listener emails tonight, and probably going to get into a little bit of Lost Book of Enki for you here as well on the show tonight. My website where this broadcast originates from. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us here tonight for another late night Moonbat edition of the broadcast. We're going to be getting into some listener emails as well as the Lost Book of Enki here for you tonight. I got to find out what page I'm on that again. Maybe somebody in the chat room there knows. The PDF never wants to stay on the right page. Let's see here. I know we're getting pretty close to the end. 272. Okay. Thank you so much for that. Let me see. Now, this is the account of Anu's journey to the lands beyond the oceans. All right. Sweet. I got where I'm at now. Thanks so much to Stomping Evil there for that one. Let's see what we have in the email bag tonight. Here's one from Serge. Serge says, hey, Josh, I've been, since discovering you a few months ago, I got to think and begin a Quebecois version of the Josh Reeves Global Reality for the Francophone French community up there. Hey, they need awakening too. Of course, there would be the traditional French cussing, which in reality, the words are blasphemous, using words like Jesus Christ, tabernacle, the body of Christ, and challenge, just to name a few, no limits. What is it that I need for equipment to get me started? I know I need to invest in a good headset. Regards, Serge. Well, you can do it that route. You can get a headset route and do it that way. It'll sound okay, but you're going to get background noise, and it just depends on what level of it you want to do it at. If you want to do what semi-pro sounding, you need to get a good broadcast quality microphone like a Shure SM7B or a Electro Voice RE20. Either one of those are great radio mics. I'd get a like a $99 tube outboard compressor to go with that, or a tube preamp, maybe an outboard compressor, something you can give yourself a little EQ. It just depends on what you want to do. If you want to broadcast and stream, or do you want to do a podcast thing? If you want to keep it simple and you want to have a show, a good way to do that is Blog Talk Radio. It's not that great, but it's a cheap way to get a show off the ground. If not, you're going to have a server. You're going to have SAM Broadcaster software. Well, there's a lot to it. So maybe you'll send me an email back. I hope that helps. And let me know exactly what level you want to do that at. That's all I can say. But yeah, get after it. Start your own show. I wanted to do something for a long time here with doing other people's shows and having other shows on the network of people, but I don't have time to engineer people's shows and do all that and have it live and run it and do it. I just don't have time to do it. If people are out there want to create shows and want to create shows to be played on the Global Reality, if you're good and I like it, I'll play it. Send it to me. Maybe we can do something like that. Yeah. Let's see what else we have here. More emails from George. He has been sending some good ones lately. Hey, Josh, you tripped me out with that uninformed American voice you do, man. Not in a dumbass John Jewett way, but in an informative way. Hey, what you talking about? Oh, hell, I don't know. Fuck. Al-Qaeda's going to come get me if I don't stand up for my rights. I don't want you to pull a Joe Pesci on me from Goodfellas about the clown thing. Anyway, I'm listening to Thursday's show now, and I can never tell exactly when you'll be on. Plus, I'm in Eastern Standard Time, so I'm usually tired and or drunk and or high by that time. So I catch up while you're gigging on the weekends. I wanted to ask you about the relationship between currency and flow in regard to life and death in this realm we live in. Usually, when we talk about currency, we are talking about money, which, as we all know, is the American religion. Current can also refer to electricity. Electricity is ions, and human beings are electrical creatures. So when we experience emotion, we are really emoting ions, it seems to me. When we talk about flow, it usually means water or blood. Nowadays, it also means the flow of information or even money. None of us can be born or live without water and blood. The food we eat is transformed into ATP, which becomes electricity, which gives us energy to keep moving, or in your case, so you can do a show and play guitar, or play drums, actually, as I do in the demigods. I do play guitar, too, though, but in the demigods, I'm the drummer. There is something very simple and circular about the relationship between all of these things that is hiding something major about the nature of our reality, but I can't put my finger on it. Maybe my weed isn't good enough, and I've stopped doing X unless I have a hot chick standing by to bang, which almost never happens these days unless you pay the bitch, since money has replaced the connection between male and female, thanks largely to TV, which runs on electricity, of course. Maybe earth is our body, fire is our soul, heart, brain, water is the blood, and wind is our emotions. I would agree with that to a certain extent. Yeah, I'm just throwing things out there. I think that that's the whole question is that to me, though, is the whole universe like that? Is that what the whole universe is? Are the planets and the stars and all of us, are we just, parts of this much larger body of some other larger creature? Very well could be. Maybe that's what as above, so below really means. As in the macrocosm, so in the microcosm. Everything that happens in a large way in the universe happens in a small way down on Earth as well. This is all modeled as part of Solomon's temple and the Kabbalistic tree of life. Well, actually, yeah, the Temple of Man at Luxor, it took years and years and years to build, and it's basically a man, but it's all each section of it is modeled after a computer. It happens to be the massive libraries is in the part of the temple complex that's shaped like a man that's in the brain. If it is really this simple, then it seems as though we could reverse it somehow if someone simply said the right words in the right order at the right time. I do believe black magic exists and affects us whether we want it to or not. Some people think that they have a choice, and it's always those morons who get affected the most and the worst. Like, everything is just what you thought when slowed down becomes light, and when slowed down becomes sound, which when slowed down becomes solid 3D world we call Earth. I know what you're thinking. Why reverse creation? Well, because all this shit is Lucifer's creation, not ours. And just for the folks listening, if you read this on air, I'm not talking about some dumbass red devil with a forked tail, hordes, and a fucking pitchfork. That shit doesn't even exist except on TV and Hollywood and in our nightmares afterwards. I'm talking about the eternal egregor thought form that maintains this 3D illusion by feeding light information info into our brains instead of the other way around, which accelerate back to thought, but then are limited with 5 measly senses, although taste and smell are almost the same thing. Perception may be reality, but I believe it is the elite that are perceiving, and we are just receiving like a police scanner. That's why they are putting out all of these shitty 3D movies now. That's why everything is a sequel or a remake. Keep everyone in the same mindset. Yeah, I saw tonight on television, there was, I don't watch TV, but they just turned it on for 2 seconds. And they have some fucking remake of Hawaii 5-0 now with James Caan's son in it. The fuck? Seriously, we've been reduced to we have to create a new Hawaii 5-0? That's how shitty creativity's gotten? I got a lot of ideas. These fuckers should let me write for them. Of course, kind of shit I'd want to put in a TV show they wouldn't put on TV. They're trying to permanently cement us in this illusion so we don't transcend it at some point, because they need us here for them to be gods. The problem is they are not gods without us here, so they would have to acknowledge that they are not gods. They would go even more batshit crazy then, but fuck them, we'd be gone. What I'm saying is that we're passing through, but we were stuck here for whatever reason. I'm glad to. I hope the shit hurts. Hope I don't sound nuts, but honestly, you're one of the few people who possibly understand what I'm saying. All right. And he says, I forgot. The reason I think women are so emotional is because they are almost completely made up of electrons, which is why they emote so many ions. I have to agree with that. I agree with this wholeheartedly, what he's saying right here. Women are just key to this whole thing, and not just because their bodies are used to bring more souls into the world to become slaves to the elite. Men are more like protons, and we spend our lives chasing the electrons. Think about it. Women love going out, being seen, traveling, dancing. They cannot be fucking still for 2 fucking seconds and be happy. That's a goddamn walking, talking human electron, dude. Not sure what the neutron would represent. Maybe transsexuals. I'd have to agree with that, yeah. Let's see here. Okay, so I heard back from the Australian radio show. They say, hey, Josh, it's Jack from Australia. Sorry I couldn't get back to you sooner. Had telco problems all day, though. So it worked out when we were on live in the morning here in Sydney compared to Texas. We are 15 hours in front, which means our show runs 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. your time the day before. So maybe Tuesday between those hours is okay for you to do an interview through Skype and wake people up early and say, okay, so between 3 and 6 tomorrow. All right, well, I'll email them back and see if I'm going to be on there tomorrow or not. Hi, Josh. I was watching the bit on YouTube about the Beatles and the Aquarian conspiracy. When you mentioned the bit about Floyd on there, I remembered I had seen a rockumentary on VH1 about Floyd where Roger Waters admits that all the guys in Floyd except Gilmore were from the aristocratic class. That was how they got where they did and how it sucked for Gilmore not being in the blood. That's not to say that old Dave didn't have a job to do. When Waters said that, I knew for certain they were always playing a game. And it's not an accident or talent that gets you in the lineup to stardom. You were tapped for it. In Floyd's case, it's a foregone conclusion being of the aristocracy. And I've heard people like Michael Desarian and Alex Constantine say that that wasn't true and that Pink Floyd were offered to join like the the cult of Dionysus and all this stuff, and they turned it down. I know Gilmore is like a royal commander of the British Army or whatever. He's one of those things. I don't know. There's differing opinions on that. I've heard they weren't involved in it, and I've heard they are fully involved in it. But who knows? I mean, they were on Capitol Records, and they used pyramid symbology and occult symbology all over the place. I don't agree with the ones that say that Pink Floyd is not a part of things. I think they totally are. Well, that's it for all the emails tonight. GlobalRealityShow@gmail.com if you want to send in an email anytime, and I'll read it on later broadcasts. Again, this is our 4-year anniversary this month. I'm going to work on getting some very special guests on this month for you, and doing some special things this month for as far as guests and the show and things like that. So I'm really excited about that. Glad we're still kicking on and going on with the show here. So please support us in our 4-year anniversary. We are down to very little money right now after paying the bills for the month, and we need your support right now in an extreme way. So please use the donate button or the chip and banner at my website, theglobalreality.com. We also have a P.O. box there if you absolutely can't use PayPal, and you can do it that way. Let's get into the Lost Book of Enki tonight. Now, this is the account of Anu's journey to the lands beyond the oceans and how in the first region for the Anunnaki cities were reestablished. Having the decision about the 4 regions and mankind's civilizations, Anu inquired about his grandson, Marduk. I must see him again. Anu said to the leaders, whether by Dumuzi or by Ningazida inviting to Nibiru, Marduk's ire I myself have caused. So Anu did wonder if he should reconsider the punishment of Marduk. When to the lands beyond the oceans you journey, Marduk will be told to meet you. The land where he roams in those parts of the earth it is, so Enlil did say to Anu. Before the distant lands the royal couple went, the Eden and its lands Anu and Antu surveyed. Eridu and Nibiru Key they visited, where the cities of the first region were planned they saw. In Eridu, Enlil complained about Enki. The MEs, which I believe are mitochondrial extraction formulas, is keeping them to him. Enki is keeping to himself. Anu, on the seat of honor, seated, said words of praise to Enki. My son for himself has built a magnificent house. It is raised beautifully on a platform. To the people that the house surrounds and serve, Enki will give great knowledge. Now, the knowledge that is in the MEs is secreted with no other Anunnaki may be shared. Embarrassed was Enki to share with all the divine formulas to Anu he promised. In the ensuing days, in skyships traveling, Anu and Antu surveyed the other regions. Then on the 17th day, to Unig Ki, the royal couple returned for one more night of rest. Tomorrow, when the younger Anunnaki come before Anu and Antu for blessing, Anu to his great-granddaughter Inanna took a liking. He drew her closely, he hugged her, and he kissed her. Let all my words heed to the congregation, he announced. This place, after we leave, to Inanna as a dowry is given. Let the skyship in which we shall vary the earth be my present to Inanna. Joyed, Inanna began to dance and sing. Her praises of Anu as hymns in times to come were chanted. Therefore, bidding farewell to the Anunnaki for the lands beyond the ocean, Anu and Antu departed. Enlil and Enki, Ninurta and Ishkar with them to the golden land went. To impress Anu the king with the great golden riches, Ninurta built an abode for Anu and Antu. Its stone blocks were cut to perfection. With pure gold inside it was covered. A golden enclosure with flowers of carnelian stones were carved, and the royal couple awaited. By the shore of the great mountain lake, the abode was erected. How the gold nuggets are collected, the visitors were shown. There is enough gold here for many shars to come, Anu said, satisfied. To a place nearby, Ninurta to Anu and Antu showed an artificed mound. How to build a place for melting and refining metals was made. And they showed them how to extract a new metal from stones. Ankh, Anak, Anunnaki made, he called it, Anak. How, by combining it with the abundant copper, a strong metal he invented, he showed them. On the great lake from whose shores the metals came, Anu and Antu sailed. The lake of Anak, Anu called it, henceforth was its name. Then from lands from the north, lands where the great horned beasts are hunted, Marduk before his father Enki and his grandfather Anu came. Nabu, his son, was with him. When Enki inquired about Serpanit, Marduk with sorrow told them of her death. Now Nabu alone with me has remained. To his father and grandfather, Marduk said. Anu, Marduk to his chest pressed. Enough, you have been punished, to him, he said. With his right hand on Marduk's head, Anu, Marduk is to be forgiven and blessed. From the golden place high in the mountains, all who had gathered in the plain below went. There, stretching the horizon, Ninurta had prepared a new place for the chariots. Anu and Antu's celestial chariot stood there ready, and was loaded with gold to the brim. As the time for the departing came, Anu said words of guidance and goodbyes to his children. Whatever destiny for the earth and the earthlings is intended, let it so be. If man, not Anunnaki, is destined to inherit the earth, then let us help that destiny. Give mankind knowledge. up to a measure, secrets of heaven and earth, let them teach. Give them knowledge up to a measure. See, give them knowledge up to a certain point, but don't give them too much now. That's the foundations of the priest class, ladies and gentlemen, right there. Laws of justice and righteousness teach them, then depart and leave. So did Anu say to his children, giving them fatherly instructions. Once more they hugged, embraced, and kissed, and from the new chariot's place, Anu and Antu left for Nibiru. The first to break the sorrowed silence was Marduk. With anger were his words. What is this new place of celestial chariots? Of others in explanation, he demanded. What after my exile without my knowledge has transpired? When Enki told Marduk of the decisions about the 4 regions, Marduk's fury knew no bounds. Why will Inanna, a cause of Dumuzi's death, get her own region? The decisions have been made and they cannot be altered, so Enlil said to Marduk. In separate skyships to the Eden and its adjoining lands they returned. Sensing trouble, Enlil and Ishkar were instructed to stay behind and to keep watch over the gold. To commemorate Anu's visit, a new count of the passage of time was introduced. By Earth years, not by Nibiru Shars, was what on earth transpired to be counted. Now listen to this. This is a very interesting piece of information for you astrology-minded people out there. In the age of the bull, to Enlil dedicated, was the count of earth years begun. So, in the age of the bull, the age of Taurus, that would have been when the ages were started. We're in, what are we in, Pisces right now? Going into what? The age of Aquarius. So I guess time and years started being counted during the age of Taurus. That's an interesting tidbit. I did not know that. When the leaders returned to the Eden, the place of the first civilized region, how to make bricks from mud, the Anunnaki taught the earthlings, and then therewith to build cities. But where once cities of the Anunnaki alone had stood, cities for both them and the earthlings now arose. There, and in new cities for the great Anunnaki, sacred precincts were consecrated. Therein the Anunnaki with lofty abodes were provided. Temples by mankind they were called. So there you go, right there. What we refer to as temples were actually made for abodes for the Anunnaki. And the best example of that I can think of, the Temple of Hathor at Dendera. You know the Temple of Hathor at Dendera, it's one I've talked about it before because everybody, has to have, I always like to have goals that are bigger than what I can achieve at my given moment. I mean, it keeps you going. That's my, that's one of my bucket list long-term things I want to do. I want to write a book and make a movie about the Temple of Hathor at Dendera in Egypt. Because, man, they never mention it on Ancient Aliens. They never mention. I've gone and tried to find books on it. You can't find dedicated books to this. It is the single most in-your-face piece of evidence for the Anunnaki and giants and extraterrestrials anywhere, and it's largely overlooked in Egyptology, largely overlooked in extraterrestrial research. And the reason why is because it's exactly what they describe here, an abode that's made for the Anunnaki. This thing's made to the scale of giants. It's made for giants to walk through. And there's just no way modern people had constructed that thing. So right there it tells that the abodes that the Anunnaki dwelt in were called the temples by mankind. That's a key piece of evidence right there, folks. That says a lot. So now whenever time you hear somebody refer to one of these ancient megalithic structures as a temple, always remember that temple is code for abode for the Anunnaki, a house for the Anunnaki. Therein the Anunnaki as lofty lords were served and worshipped. By number ranks they were honored. Their heirship to mankind made known. So that right there, they're saying that in these days, in the first days of this, them being seen as the heirship of mankind, meaning H-E-I-R, mankind being the progeny of these Anunnaki, it was a known thing. Another piece of evidence, see, it didn't become hidden. Man is what has made this information hidden. We are the ones who have enslaved our own kind with the restriction of this knowledge. And it seems that the people that wrote these texts were very aware of that being a possibility to happen. And indeed it did. Anu, the heavenly, the rank of 60 held. To Enlil, the rank of 50 was given. On Ninurta, his foremost son, Enlil bestowed the same rank. Next in succession was the Lord Enki. The rank of 40 he held. To Nanar, the son of Enlil and Ninlil, the rank of 30 was assigned. To his son and successor Utu, the rank of 20 was allotted. 10 as a number ranked to the other Anunnaki leaders' sons was granted. Ranks by the fives between the female Anunnaki and spouses were shared. When after Eridu and Nibiru Ki and their temple abodes were completed, in Lagash, the Gersu precinct for Ninurta was built. His black sky bird was kept there. Yeah, fucking bird of prey. In Inu, House of 50 was the temple abode for Ninurta, and Bao, his spouse, was called. The supreme hunter and the supreme smiter, weapons a gift of Anu, the Ininu protected. Where Sipar before the deluge had been, on top of the mud soil Utu, a new Sipar had been established. In the Ababar, the shining house, an abode for Utu and his spouse Aya was raised. From there, Utu promulgated the laws of justice for mankind. Where because of silt mud, the olden plans could not be followed, new sites were chosen. Adab, a site from Shurabrak, not distant for Narsog, as a new center was made. The house of Sakor and healing knowledge was her temple abode, therein named. The immies of how the earthlings were fashioned, Narshog kept in his holy shrine. Yeah, the mitochondrial extractions of how they were created. For Dinar, a city with straight streets, canals, and wharves was provided. Urim was its name. House of the Throne Seeds was its temple abode called. The moon's beams to the lands it reflected. Ishkur to the mountain lands of the north returned. The house of 7 storms his abode was called. Inanna in Unag Ki resided. In the abode by Anu bequeathed to her she dwelt. Marduk and Nabu dwelt in Eridu. In the Eden their own abodes they did not have. Page 277. 277. Now this is the account of the first city of men and the kingship of Earth. 277. We'll pick up there tomorrow night on that. So very interesting. Again, any of you sleuths and hounds out there, if you can put together where some of these places are that we've described, some of you have a lot of places like there in Pakistan, other places. But if you guys identify more of these places they're talking about or have an idea of where this stuff is, I'd be interested to see that. So definitely always email that over to me at globalrealityshow@gmail.com. It's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Don't forget, please make a donation, folks. We barely scraped by. We only had a very few people donate at the end of our fundraiser for the month last week. Like 2 people helped us get by last month, and we barely got the bills paid. We have very little in the bank right now. We need support if you want this show to continue. We don't have commercials. We don't have the rest of this stuff. But if we don't get the support we need, the integrity of our show is definitely going to go down because we have to continue. So please don't let that happen. My name is Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. We'll see you next time for the broadcast. You guys have a great night. Take care.